Sri Lanka, island state in the Indian Ocean. The old name Ceylon reflects an eventful Portuguese, Dutch and British colonial history. Tamil workers on their way to the tea fields. The tea plantations of the Central Highlands are still the backbone of the economy. More than half of this fertile island is used for agriculture. The flora and fauna are tropical, and parts of the island are made up of rainforest. 1/4 of the 20 million inhabitants live in the few big cities, like here in Gaul in the south. 2/3 of the population are Buddhists, but there are also many Muslims, Christians and Hindus. The colonial history is clearly visible. The monsoon season brings heavy rainfalls, but in between, the dry season, with only very little water, leads to problems with the water supply. Water is part of the natural environment for the Sri Lankans. They fish for their daily needs. Many people live at the coast. But the ocean has another dangerous aspect. Christmas 2004, a sea quake off the coast of Sumatra sets off the biggest tsunami of the century. The tidal wave flooded the coast, destroying everything in its path. After the flood had subsided, it left ruin.
This place where we are here is Hikkaduwa, near Gaul in southern Sri Lanka, and it was very much affected by the tsunami. And when Malteser International came here early 2005, they started first immediately with drinking water provision by tankers. Malteser International hired 5 trucks with 2 cubic meter tank each. Then also they bought 5 tractors with trailers with 4.5 cubic meter tanks each to provide water to the displaced people. About 20 tanks were provided here to the local communities so that they had immediate access to drinking water again. This emergency period lasted about 6 months. You can see that still, even a couple of years after tsunami, the place has not been rebuilt because we are about 100 meters only from the sea, and there's a kind of danger area that people are a little bit reluctant to rebuild their houses, so people move more inwards. And also the emergency activities, they formed a strong basis for us to have more long-term activities in the field of water and sanitation. Even now, we have activities that are started as tsunami relief, but are now moving more inland to areas or communities that also are in need of such activities, but that are provided now with rainwater harvesting tanks, sanitation facilities, that also was very much needed for them. So we have been able to provide emergency relief in the initial stages and then gradually move to more long-term development for other communities as well.
36,000 people died in the flood. Hundreds of thousands lost everything they owned. But in addition to the enormous destruction, there was another effect. The groundwater and the wells were contaminated and made salty. The school at Galandala. The play they have written themselves tells a clear story. The god of water is angry because the people do not treat the water with due care. 16-year-old Maleka manages to placate the god because she handles her water at home in a hygienic way.
මේ ගිහින් ආවම හොඳට සබන් දාලත් සෝදන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේම තමයි මේ වැසිකිළියට යන්න ඕන සෙරප්පු දෙකක් දාගෙන නැත්නම් අපිට පණු රෝග ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. කෑම කන්නට කලින් අපි හොඳට සබන් දාලාත් හොදනවා. නැත්නම් අපි ගන්න ආහාර වලට විස බීජ ඇතුල් වෙනවනේ. ඒ වගේම තමයි සෙල්ලම් කරලා ඇවිල්ලා දූවිලි එහෙම අත්වල තියෙන නිසා හොඳට සබන් දාලා හොද ගන්න ඕන අතපය. නැත්නම් අපිට වෙනත් රෝගات හැදෙන්න පුළුවන්.
Maleka and her mother are well aware that food must be handled hygienically if their family is to remain healthy. That's why all bowls, knives and food have to be washed with clean water. On the menu today is a salad made of cucumber, onions, tomatoes, chilies and curry.
කුස්සියට එන්න කලින් සබන් දාලා හොදන්නේ. අපි දැන් එළියේ ඉඳගෙන කරන වැඩවල විස බීජ තියෙනවනේ. ඒ හින්දා සබන් කුස්සියට එනකොට සබන් දාලා හොඳට අත් දෙක පිරිසුදු කරගෙන ඇවිල්ලා කෑම උයන්න ගන්නෙ. සබන් ගන්නේ විස බීජ මර්ධනය වෙන්න ඕනේ.
Time to light the fire.
වතුර උණු කරන්නේ වතුර වල විස බීජ තියෙනයි. වතුර වල විස බීජ තියෙනවා කියන හින්දා වතුර උණු කරනවා. උණු කර උතුරෝලා නිවෙන්න දාලා තමයි බොන්න ගන්නේ. එතකොට විස බීජ මර්ධනය.
And that's the problem. In tropical regions like Sri Lanka, bacteria and other germs multiply extremely fast. That means every time the hands touch something unclean, they have to be washed. With soap, of course, because this kills bacteria. The easiest and most common way to get water free of bacteria is to boil it.
විනාඩි 5ක් 10ක් වගේ.
This is enough to make the water free of germs.
Aluminium.
The right way to handle water has to be learned. In Galandala, the children learn it at school, along with mathematics, reading and writing. Using chlorine is still one of the main methods to get water free of germs, but one has to know the right dose. Learning by doing.
බෝතලෙන් 4න් 3ක් කොටරෙන් පුරවන්න. 20 වරක් බෝතලය හොඳින් සොලවන්න. 20 වරක් බෝතලය හොඳින් සොලවන්න. සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම බෝතලය වතුරෙන් පුරවන්න. තදව්වේ පැය 6ක් තියන්න. ඉන්පසු එම වතුර බීමට සුදුසුයි.
A very simple and not very well-known method is called sodis. Transparent bottles are filled with water and placed in the sun for 6 hours. The ultraviolet rays kill the bacteria. This is what untreated water looks like under a microscope. The coloured and therefore visible germs are responsible for a lot of diseases. The public well plays a key role. There are no water pipe systems in rural areas, and very few families have a well of their own. And because a lot of households use public wells, the quality of this water is even more important. It needs to be inspected regularly.
There is a powder, so if we test our water, we have to use our hands first, hands washed first, and fill the water to this arrow level, red arrow level, and should close the lid safely and dissolve this powder. If there's no any bacteria or germs in the water, we can see the result as same in the initiation. After we fill the bottle with the water and dissolve it, the color is yellow, pale yellow. So the color remains same after 2 days. But if there is bacteria and germs, the color gets black, so we can identify the water is not safe to drink.
Tests like this are simple and not expensive. Bacteria can be made clearly visible, something that used to be only possible in a laboratory. A cloth acts as a general filter, so that leaves and insects cannot get into the jug. After the water has been drawn, the well is covered again with a cloth to keep out the main dirt. Water is often carried from remote wells. Water sellers bring water to the villages, but the quality is hard to judge. They fill the water into clean containers, but they don't use any filter, and there's no soap to wash their hands. And the longer the distance, the greater the possibility that the water will be polluted again. Dust from the streets and, during the rainy season, mud and dirt contaminate the canisters and the water on the way from the well to the households. For that reason, Malteser International promotes short water transports.
අපි මේ ටැංකිය පුරවගන්නේ වැස්ස ලැබෙන වෙලාවට මේ වහලයි මේ පීල්ලයි ඉස්සෙල්ලා පිරිසිදු කරගන්න ඕන නිසා අපි මේ පියන ඇරලා තියෙනවා හැම වෙලාවකදීම ඊට පස්සේදී වහලයි පීල්ලයි හේදුනා කියලා හිතුනම මේ පියන වහලා ඊට පස්සේදී අර බටෙන් වතුර ටැංකියට යන්න ඉඩ අරිනවා අතන ෆිල්ටරේ තියෙන ඇතුලේ බාස්කට් එකක් තියෙනවා ඒකේ තියෙන්නේ පොල් කටු අඟුරුයි තිරිවාණි ගලුයි එතනින් වතුර යනකොට එතෙන්ට වතුර ගිහිල්ලා ඒ බාස්කට් එකේ හිල් තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේදී එතනින් වතුර පිරිසිදු වෙලා මේ ටැංකියට ගිහිල්ලා පිරිසිදු වතුර ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන් ඒ වගේම තමයි අර උඩ තියෙන පියන තියෙන්නේ මේ ටැංකිය පිරිසිදු කරන ඕන වෙලාවට ඇතුළට යන්න ඒ ටැංකියේ පියන හොඳට සීල් කරලා වහලා තියන්න ඕන නැත්නම් කෘමිසතුන් එහෙම ඇතුල් වෙන්න පුළුවන් නිසා මේ ෆිල්ටරේ මාස 3කට සැරයක් පිරිසිදු කරන්න ඕන ටැංකිය මාස 6කට සැරයක් පිරිසිදු කරන්න ඕන
Well, Malteser International and Sri Lanka Rainwater Harvesting began this project in 2006. To date, we've built about 1,700 tanks across the southern province. And at the moment, we're standing in a village called Nakulagamua, which is on the border between Matra and Gaul districts. They don't have any piped water supply here from the National Water Board, so we've selected this site as a potential area to promote rainwater harvesting.
Yeah, actually, first year of UNICEF Goals on Peace was mostly dedicated for tsunami emergency, and then after that we started mainly on sustainable and development issues, and that's where we started our partnership with Malteser International. Yeah, basically we work together very closely and with very good cooperation because now Malteser has been identified as one of the reliable partners for UNICEF because we have been understanding each other's procedures, priorities and way of interacting with the local government. So as UNICEF, we did not have much field staff to attend those issues, and that's where our cooperation and partnership with Malteser International helped us, because they had strong community mobilizers and also technically sound people.
Well, traditionally, open duct wells are the normal drinking water source for most of Sri Lanka, but there's been quite a lot of interest in that, showing that they're very susceptible to groundwater contamination through nearby latrines. So we've looked at introducing rainwater harvesting as an alternative, because there's quite a lot of rainfall in Sri Lanka, and it's not the most expensive technology to introduce. By having the water source on site, it saves the family, whether it's the mother or the children, going to collect water from the well. And by having it on site as well, they're more in control of its water quality as well. So it's not susceptible to groundwater contamination and groundwater movements. It's only open to contamination from the roof.
Rainwater has always been collected, but little attention was paid to cleanliness.
Once the tanks are completed in any one village, Lanka Rainwater Harvesting Forum, our local partner, and also Malteser's Water Safety Plan team, they conduct an operation and maintenance session where they're introducing the rainwater harvesting system and the different elements of it, but also how they can look after their water quality with it once it's in the tank.
It takes 5 days to build a tank, if the families help. The materials for a tank cost about €200. And the training has another aim. One mason trains 2 others. This ensures that when the project has been finished, more rainwater tanks can be built. Waste pipes leading out into the sea. Open duct sewage systems in the cities, the ideal breeding ground for every type of germ. The bigger the cities, the bigger the problems of wastewater sewage. These open ducts do not only feed in feces. Wastewater from the kitchen and water with chemical additives also get into the groundwater. But in the big cities, the megacities, the problems can only be resolved by providing sewage systems and treatment plants. In rural areas with a manageable number of people, there are solutions for each village and even each household, like here in Nakuluga Mua.
Here we are constructing a septic tank toilet. You see, the cabin is built and we are ready to bring the septic tank. And here you can see the groundwater level of this area. The water is only 600 millimetres above the ground level.
If the groundwater is so near to the surface, septic tanks are necessary. This prevents the groundwater from being contaminated by excrement. There are 2 compartments in the tanks. The fluids are separated from the solid parts, so that the excrement can be disposed of later. The rice fields in the south of the island are just above groundwater level. That is good for the irrigation, but bad for the wastewater, which can easily get into the fields. The rice farmers live near their fields. Latrines like this contaminate the water in the irrigation channels. Because the farmers work barefoot and use their hands, the germs are easily transferred. So the experts from Malteser International are constructing a new type of latrine. The toilet is built as high as possible so that no construction parts stand in the groundwater. This prototype, a 2-chamber system, is a so-called dry compost toilet. Once the first chamber is full, the feces rot and dry, and after 6 months they can be used as fertiliser in the fields. Then the second chamber is filled up, and so on. Dried and composted in this way, one person's excrement per day is only the size of a matchbox.
And now this is the pit they are using. They take it off and use it as a toilet. Washing will be done at the centre. From here, all the wastewater and urine will go to the wetland.
Another one of the expert solutions. The roof of the toilet leads the rainwater into a basin, and this can be used for washing the hands directly after using the toilet. A simple system. Weather permitting, classes in Galandala are held outside. Next to the class, the old latrine. That is about to change.
Within this project we focus on a child-friendly concept. We look at water and sanitation and providing facilities for children. As Malteser International is forming a strong WASH section, a lot of the ideas and practices are cross-cutting across our projects. So we look at investigating water safety plans, we look at the contamination of water, we look at the protection of water, and we encourage children at the school level to be involved in understanding those concepts, but also we give them strategies to make their water safe to drink. Children are an excellent catalyst for behaviour change. We focus on the children because they are the next generation, but also they need to be empowered and be given ownership on different strategies in regarding health promotion. So what we try and do is we have focus group discussions with children, parents and teachers, and we find out what the needs of the children are specifically. We ask them directly so that they, as I said, have ownership in the whole project, so that they are, from inception, are decision makers right through to seeing the completed process themselves. So we look at the child-friendly latrine or toilet. You'll see that the children have had their points raised about the location, about the colour, about the type, about whether they want a squatting pan or a commode, whether there's enough room for smaller children to be assisted. All of those concepts are discussed with the children directly, so that we hope in the long term, once the latrines and the water points have been established, that they have ownership of it and that they maintain it, and the facilities are used for many years to come.
It seems that the angry god of water has been placated, and the people have again learned the right way to handle the water.
So far, I'm very satisfied because we have used a participatory approach. The people themselves are involved in identifying the problem with regard to water, and they're even facilitated to discover what solutions can be offered with regard to treatment of water. So when they're involved like this, it's like they own the process. So it's not Malteser telling them what to do, but really they themselves are facilitated to identify the solutions and implement them. So far I'm very satisfied with regard to the water promotion we are doing so far, and I think we can only move ahead and we can also learn from the experiences so far, from the lessons learned with regard to water, sanitation and hygiene promotion.